Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Dornsife Discover program. We are so thrilled to have you join us today as we explore the natural science fields at USC. My name is Aaron Smith, and I am one of the admissions counselors at USC Dornsife. This event is being hosted by the Dornsife Office of Admission and Student Success. My colleagues in our office will be helping me host today's event and maybe answering some of your questions today. While this is a webinar, we will have an opportunity for you all to ask our panel questions. You will see a Q&A box where you can ask your questions today, but please hold on to your questions for now. We will have time for them later on in our program, and I will let you know when we open that up. For now, let us bring in our panel so you can get to know some of our USC Dornsife students who will be sharing their experiences with you today. If I could ask our student panelists to turn on their cameras now. Awesome, thank you all. If you can each introduce yourselves just with your name, your year in school, your majors, minors, any pre-professional emphases, your hometown, and 2 or 3 important involvements on campus. We can start with Alex, and then we'll go to Hisu, then Darren, and then last but not least, Spoofy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex, and I'm originally from the California Bay Area, and I'm a neuroscience major here and also pre-medical student. A couple things about me is I love doing research, so I've done a little bit of plastic surgery research, and then I've also done some neuroimaging work, and I'm also a supplemental instruction leader for Advanced General Chem, which I'll talk about a little later in this session. It's nice to meet you all.
Hi, my name's Hisu. I'm a junior at USC right now. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm studying human biology as well as a minor in East Asian language and culture. I'm also a pre-med student, and I am currently involved in research in a structural biology lab as well as a performing arts club on campus.
How's everybody doing? My name is Darren Greaves II. I'm from the Bronx, New York. I go to USC and I'm currently a junior. I'm studying environmental science and health and political science on the pre-law track. And at USC, I co-founded and started the Caribbean Student Association. I'm the health chair for the NAACP, and I just started my own legal club called Justice in Motion.
Hi everyone, my name is Boofy and I'm from the Bay Area, Fremont specifically. I am a neuroscience major on the pre-med track. A couple of things I'm involved in is research in the emotion and cognition lab, where I study a lot of brain activity using EEG data. And I am also a learning assistant for the General Chemistry 105 series, which a lot of the natural science majors take.
Great, thank you all. I want to start with a brief overview of USC Dornsife. USC has many schools on campus, Dornsife being the largest of them. We are the liberal arts college at USC and the home to the natural sciences, the social sciences, and the humanities. We are about 36% of USC's undergraduate population, so we are a significant presence on campus, and we have over 90 majors and 90 minors for students to explore. We will go over both research and study abroad with our students a bit later in the program. But if those are areas you are interested in, we have 66 research centers and institutes that provide undergraduate research opportunities, and we have over 50 study abroad programs in 30 different countries. But despite being a large school on campus, we do like to provide a small liberal arts feel within Dornsife. Our average class size is 17 students, and we have an 8-to-1 student to faculty ratio. As I mentioned earlier, Dornsife is home to over 90 majors and 90 minors. While we don't have time to go over all of the programs we offer today, our students here with us will talk about the programs they are in, while emphasizing the natural sciences. To talk a little bit more about majors, I'll turn it over to our students to talk about what they do within each of their majors. So Alex, why don't you start us off and we'll go in the same order we introduce ourselves in.
Yeah, of course. So I am a neuroscience major here at USC. And what that means is I take a variety of classes from either like biology, psychology, neuroscience, and chemistry. And one thing I really love, even being a neuroscience major, part of Dornsife, is I can take classes in various different fields. So one thing I can even do is take some of my general education classes in Middle East studies, or I can learn about linguistics, which has been really nice. And another special thing about neuroscience major is I can pursue honors in that degree as well if I want to do more research work. So yeah, that's why I like neuroscience.
Yeah, I can go next. I'm a human biology major, and similar to Alex's major, we also start with general bio, general chemistry in our lower division courses, our first 2 years. But then starting junior year and up, we do specialize into different tracks for my major. I'm currently on the biomedical sciences track, so I take classes in anatomy, endocrinology, applied physiology, and so on. So I think it's really useful for people especially interested in pre-health courses because a lot of the content we learn overlaps with prerequisites that we need for our careers.
As I said before, I am a double major. I study environmental science and health and political science. So I get to take science classes like biology, chemistry, OChem, and then I also get to take policy-based classes for my political science. And the good thing about being a double major is I also get to take classes that kind of intersect between the two of them. Like right now, I'm taking an environmental ethics and policy class. So I'm able to combine the two things that my majors are a part of and actually put them together to where I'm able to learn things that are going to be beneficial to my career in the future.
Just like Alex, I am also a neuroscience major. And I think one of the main reasons Alex touched on this, but just to echo him, I love neuroscience because I think it's a very good representation of Dornsife's interdisciplinary emphasis. So, aside from the lower division general chemistry and general biology courses, as a junior and a senior, when it's time to take these upper division courses, I think neuroscience very perfectly brings together biology, psychology, computation, and even engineering. So, I have the chance to take courses like neurobiology, but also I'm able to dabble in classes in gerontology or psychology, math, biomedical engineering. These are all electives that I'm able to take as a neuroscience major. And I think it's so fascinating how it connects so many disciplines to understand something as complex as the human brain.
That's awesome. Thank you. So along with the classes that you'll be required to take for your major, all USC undergraduate students will also complete the general education classes or GE classes. These are about 10 classes that students will take across different subjects such as the arts, life sciences, and social analysis to push students outside of their majors and encourage them to explore new areas and gain a more well-rounded education. So, Bhuvi, can you tell us about your experience with the general education program at USC so far?
Course. I love it. I think one of the main reasons why I appreciate the GE program at USC is because it gives me a break from my tougher pre-med science classes and allows me to think creatively and critically in so many different ways. And for me, it's such a great reminder every time I take a GE that it's not being at USC and learning isn't just about being a neuroscience major, or it's not just about being pre-med. It's really about developing this broader understanding of the world. One class I can talk about is last year. I took a class. It was something about hip hop. It was hip hop in LA, history of hip hop in LA. And I just thought it was such an interesting class because I was the same semester. I was taking a neurobio class and organic chemistry. And every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m., I would look forward to going to this hip hop class and learning more. And one of the things that made it so interesting and so relevant is because we're in LA. USC is in downtown LA. And so it was just so much more relevant to feel like I was learning more about USC's history and the city's history and culture. And it was so interesting. Our professor, she would bring in artists and she would FaceTime artists all the time and Grammy winning artists and we would get just so many different aspects and so many different views into hip hop and that was just very exciting for me. Another GE I took, I think this one was a little bit more interdisciplinary where it touched on Greek history, so a lot of like philosophy, Socrates and Plato, but it connected it to the current political view. And so, how current politics or how Plato and Socrates sort of discussed the future of politics of the world. And I just thought that was so fascinating because without that class, I never would have thought to think about things in that way or even study that subject matter. So it's been great t taking these GE classes, and there's just so many of them. There's something for everyone, and anything you want to learn, I think there's a class for you within the GE program at USC.
Amazing, Booby. Thank you. They sound like such interesting classes. But within Dornsife, we also have two programs alongside the general education program that replace some of your requirements with different classes. The first program is called Thematic Option, or TO. So Thematic Option replaces some of your general education classes with more thematic-based courses, which are heavy with reading, writing, and philosophy. So if you enjoy those areas, you can still explore these classes while still being a natural science student at USC. TO classes are typically smaller and much more grounded in discussions around greater themes. But if you want to lean more heavily into the sciences, the second program we offer is called the Freshman Science Honors Program, or FSH. So this program will replace your general biology and your general chemistry requirements with more advanced versions of these courses, with smaller class sizes and smaller lab sizes. Both Thematic Option and Freshman Science Honors are programs that you'll apply to after you've been admitted to USC. So it's nothing you have to worry about right now, but we do want to introduce you to these programs if they are of interest to you. So Hisu and Alex, you've both completed and been a part of Freshman Science Honors. Can you talk about your experiences with the program? And we can start with Hisu.
Yeah, so I can talk about the lecture portion. Um, I will say I liked having a cohort of people. That was one of my favorite parts about FSH is that you start, I think it's up to 60 people in 1 year, and you see the same 60 people in both your general chemistry and general biology lectures. And so you're taking cla two of your most important classes in college with the same group of people. So you create such a like it facilitates community bonding and you kind of just like bond together and like work through these hard courses together. So that was one of my favorite parts. Also, the general chemistry and biology lectures that are not FSH are around 200 people, whereas this lecture is only 60 people. So just the smaller class size, it just helps like it's easier to participate and kind of engage in class as well because the class size is smaller. So that was one of my favorite parts about FSH.
Completely agree. And adding on to Hisu, the other thing I really loved about the program was the research opportunities. So specifically for like the bio research, we focused on our own independent project, so talking about like different phages, which are different like viruses. And we even got to publish a paper through this class, which was something really important and why I eventually applied to different internships and research opportunities. I could talk about this. Outside the classroom, what I really loved is we all went to Catalina Island as a group, and we got to learn about the research being done there and just have a great time. So a lot of times this FSH cohort gets to do some fun activities throughout the year, but this is a program that you do not need to do at USC. It's just something you can add on top. So the general biology and general chemistry courses are just enough to have a great experience here as well.
Awesome. I love to hear that. Thank you. So one of the things we love to emphasize so much in Dornsife is interdisciplinary education and allowing students to take double majors, add minors, and take classes across Dornsife and all the different schools at USC. So Darren, I know you are a double major. Can you tell us about why you decided to double major and what the process of declaring a double major was like?
I can start off with the process. The process for actually becoming a double major is really simple. All you have to do is reach out to your advisor and just tell them, hey, I want to double major in this major and this major. And they just put in their request. And within 48 hours, mine was actually within like a couple minutes, but at most 48 hours, you get the email back to you and you're a double major. And some of the best things that come out of being a double major is just the interdisciplinary learning that you're able to do. Because I know coming into college, I started off as a biology major. And then as time goes on, your career paths might shift or you're focusing on different things might change. And I realized maybe I want to get into policy and see how I can affect the environment through policy and through law. So I realized maybe I should go into environmental science and health and political science and learn that there is an interdisciplinary in between the two, and you actually get to learn more about the field. Because I know coming into it, I was like, what can I really do that combines the two? But now meeting my professors and different people that are in the law field while also people that are in the environmental field, I've learned that maybe this double major actually guided me to the area that I actually want to be in. And then throughout everything, you actually supported significantly. You get two different advisors for each of them. So I have an advisor for my environmental science side and my political science side. And I reach out to them every now and then, and they work together to also make sure that I'm on track to graduate on time as well. So double majoring really does teach you a lot about yourself and what you want to do in the future, and you're really supported along the way through the Dornsife advisors.
Great, thanks, Darren. And now we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the experiences that our students can have outside of a classroom. I know many natural science students are interested in pursuing research opportunities. Like I mentioned before, there are 66 research centers and institutes on campus to allow students to engage in undergraduate research. In addition, many of our faculty members will also be conducting their own research and will typically bring in undergraduate students into their projects and their labs. Hisu and Darren, I know you're both engaged in research at USC. Can you tell us what research has looked like for each of you? And Hisu, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. So I joined my structural biology lab in freshman year, spring of freshman year, and the process was pretty simple. I just cold emailed different PIs, and then I came into contact with the professor that I work under now. And I've stayed both the summer after my freshman year and the summer after my sophomore year. I stayed in the LA area to continue doing my research. And then I applied for something called SURF, which is a Dornsife funded research grant that you can get as undergrads over the summer. They offer up to $3,000 every summer for your research project. And so that's one of the reasons why I was able to stay in the area and do research. Besides that, I've been to multiple conferences, both just to speak and to watch other people talk about their projects. I work with other grad students and postdocs on their papers throughout my 2 years in the lab so far. And it's just so much valuable experience that will help me just for my career, for my pre-med path, for medical school applications, but also just it made me appreciate science so much more and just that much more passionate about the science part of my career in general. And so I think that was one of the most integral parts of my USC experiences so far.
I'd also like to ditto that statement. I feel like research has been an extreme big part of my whole UXC experience. And I know coming into college, I was really scared about getting internships and getting different research experiences. And because I know at other colleges it's like really hard to get them, especially as a freshman. But I was actually able to get work in a lab as a freshman. And same as Hisu, all you have to do is like really just reach out to professors, reach out to different labs and just cold email. And sooner or later, somebody's going to get you with a reply because everybody is looking for help and all the resources are always there to get access to these things. And I know my freshman year, I got to work in a coral lab. We studied coral in the Florida Keys, and then we actually got to work with a research lab in Sweden. And they just released like a 3D modeling system that's like really new. And I was actually one of the first people able to use this 3D modeling system to measure coral growth in the Florida Keys, which was really cool to me. Until this day, that's like one of the coolest things I was actually able to ever experience at USC as a college student. And just being a part of that research lab. And even now I'm doing digitizing research for marine invertebrate and worms, which is really random, but it's super cool. And I get to meet a lot of cool people that still impact me to this day, writing me different letters of recommendations or just teaching me about different things within the world and putting me on different aspects of life that I might not have known if I didn't go into these research labs. So I feel like once you come into USC and you're looking for these different opportunities, all you have to do is research, and communicate with different people that are in different fields, because you're going to be able to get any type of research opportunity you want just by communicating.
Wow, that's an awesome experience to be a part of, Darren. Thank you for sharing that. But now I want to pivot from research to internships. So there's definitely many ways to get involved in internships. We have our Dornsife Career Pathways office, who I want to highlight. They help students navigate the process and work specifically with our Dornsife students to provide them with resources and help them secure internships. Alex, I know you've had some internship experience. Can you tell us about your experiences?
Yeah, of course. So it is still research based, but it is internships where I was able to receive a stipend from USC. That was the Gateway paid forward stipend, which basically provided me around like $4,000 to do research at another institution. So if you already have work at USC and maybe you want to transfer it over to another place, this is a great option for you. What I did is I worked with lots of plastic and reconstructive surgeons at Stanford University, and I got to spend the entire summer working on improving wound healing for patients that receive radiation therapy. And it was overall a fantastic experience because I have some research that I do at USC, but transitioning to another university as well allowed me to meet multiple different professors who could eventually vouch for me later in my career and also be good research partners in the future. So if you're worried about like expanding outside of USC, I'd really encourage it. Don't feel free to find other opportunities at different places, but also in like different tech companies as well if you'd like to.
Great, thank you, Alex. I mentioned before that we have a lot of study abroad opportunities for students that want to do these types of programs. We have a traditional study abroad where students will go away for a full semester or an entire year and take classes at a university in a different country. We also have shorter month-long study abroad programs that take place during the summer. These are called Maymesters or July Mesters and Problems Without Passports or PWPs, where students will take a class led by one of our faculty members, which involves a trip either abroad or elsewhere in the United States. For example, we have a class called the Biology of Health from a Global Perspective that takes place in London and Oxford in the United Kingdom. And we have a math master in Rome, Italy, where you'll study math in Europe. Darren, I know you've done a May master on Catalina Island. If you can talk about that experience.
All right. Just to ditto what Aaron said, so a Maymester is just like a month-long semester abroad or even within the United States. I got the opportunity to actually study on Catalina Island at the Wrigley Institute, which is its own like marine research institute. Like a whole section of the island is just that research institute through USC. And it was a great experience. I got to ride a boat out there. And I know I came in as I was doing my Maymester as a freshman, so I wasn't really like communicating with a lot of people, and I didn't know a lot of people on the island, but I knew that this experience actually helped me meet a lot of the people that I'm still friends with to today. And at the island, I was actually able to study BISC 431L, which is marine microbiology, where we learned about different bacteria and viruses within the water. I won't bore you with the details, but it was really interesting. And we were actually able to all get our boating license and actually take boats out and take samples from the water and come back to the island and then grow them in petri dishes and see like how much bacteria grew and what type of bacteria were in the water. But other than the educational aspect, it's really the community that was built on the island. The island, it was probably, I think it was about 40 students of us there, and we were all staying within the dorms. And I know every Friday night we had a game night, every Saturday night we had a movie night. And right after we'd leave class, we'd hop on a boat and go scuba diving or go fishing. And those same people that I was in that class with, we still reach out today. Some of them graduated, but some of them even come back and we all have lunch together. So the Maymesters are some of the best experiences that I've ever had at USC between research and Maymesters. Like I can't stop talking about one of those two. And you just meet a lot of cool people. You connect with a lot of professors that are like leading in their industries, and it's small due to the small class sizes. You're actually able to create really good connections with these professors. Where I was actually able to get a couple of letter of recommendations from these professors. So I really would recommend applying for a Maymester. There's Maymesters in Spain and Africa and in Europe, anywhere in Europe, in the United States. And it's just a great opportunity to learn while also creating a community with people that you probably would never cross paths with at USC.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Darren. And there really are a wide range of different May masters and July masters and problems and passports, which occur all over the world across different majors, different departments. So there's a lot of trips students can go on. And an important thing that you may see with each of these experiences is that they don't live in a vacuum, and you're able to explore each of these different opportunities. If you want to do internships and study abroad at USC, you are able to do that. And in fact, some of these programs even intersect, giving students the opportunity to combine research and study abroad or service learning, like how Alex combined his internship and research experiences. But speaking of service learning, Dornsife is home to many different service organizations and projects where students can take their learning outside the classroom and engage with the greater community around USC and throughout Los Angeles. Bhuvi, would you be able to talk about your experience doing service learning with their joint educational project?
Of course. So the JAP is one of USC's oldest and most popular service organizations, and it involves service-based learning, where essentially USC students are actively volunteering and working with local elementary schools, community-based organizations, healthcare facilities, and legal clinics. So I've sort of been involved in two different ways, and I can briefly touch on both of them. One of them is through the Trojan Health Volunteers Program, THV, which is a sub part of this, where pre-health students at USC are paired with local hospitals to go in and volunteer. So there's a whole list of them, about 6 or 7, and based on your interests, based on your goals, you're partnered with a local hospital, so you can go in, volunteer, and spend some time to learn more about the setting and meet the patients and the physicians. The second thing that I did with JEP, which was more focused on going into the classroom and engaging with these elementary schoolers, was through one of my research projects. So this is touching on what Aaron said before, where none of these experiences are in a vacuum. Things overlap. So I co-founded a startup. I'm working on something called Ada Prosthetics, which is developing a lower limb prosthetic pylon for pediatric patients. And we partnered with JEP, and through this partnership, I went into local elementary schools to teach kids about prosthetics, biomechanics, and just accessibility in engineering. We even designed a little hands-on activity for them where the students built a simple prosthetic arm using straws and strings. And it was really an amazing way to blend innovation and community engagement and show the kids how engineering and healthcare can come together to make a real difference. This was a great experience for me because for the past year, I've been working on building this device, and it's all of the conversations have been with healthcare professionals or VCs, and looking for pitch competitions to try and pitch my product to these big business people. But it was so refreshing. It just like a huge breath of fresh air to go into these elementary schools and really break down the project to its core and explain it and see the impact that it was making, by teaching it to them.
Thanks, Booby. That's a really cool kind of like project that you got doing. Before I move on, I do want to let you know that if you have any questions, now is the time to put them in our Q&A box. We'll start taking questions from the audience in about 5 minutes. We'll go through as many as we can before time ends. It'll be a combination of answering some of our questions here with our panelists live, as well as my colleagues from the Dornsife admission office. They'll be answering questions directly in the Q&A box. So keep an eye on it to see if they are answering any of your questions. As you start submitting your questions, I want to talk about support at USC. So Bhuvi and Darren, you are both in your pre-professional emphases in pre-health and pre-law. Can you both talk about what it has been like working with the pre-professional offices at USC? Bhuvi, why don't you start us off with the pre-health?
Of course. So USC has a very strong pre-health advisement office that sort of supports students through every step of their pre-health journey. So in the beginning, year 1 and 2, choosing the right classes or finding meaningful extracurriculars. And then as they transition over, year 3 and year 4 goes into preparing for standardized tests like the MCAT for medical school or the DAT for dental school, and then eventually applying to medical or any other pre-health related professional schools, PA school, dental school. And one of the things that I really like is how accessible these advisors are. There's a platform for us to be able to schedule one-on-one advising appointments with the pre-health advisors. The pre-health office hosts numerous workshops every week, every month, and just so many resources that are provided on their website as well. There's a whole list of internships that you could apply for, current labs that are looking for research assistants, current hospitals that are currently looking for volunteers. I am actually a peer advisor for the pre-health office. So, along with these advisors that I mentioned earlier, where you schedule appointments, we also have four peer advisors, which are essentially students, third and fourth year students, who hold weekly drop-in hours where students can come and talk to me for advice or just get a student perspective on the whole pre-health journey. I know when I was a freshman, I would be at the pre-health office all the time, every week, sometimes a couple times a week. I would be there in those peer advisement office hours, asking upperclassmen about what classes I need to take or what clubs I should join or how I should look for research. And now it just feels like a whole full circle moment because, I'm one of those peer advisors and it's amazing. It's very accessible. We have our peer advisors from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There's someone there all the time to help you with anything you need. The office is amazing. We have a massage chair, lots of snacks. Just wanted to put that out there. But overall, I would say one of the biggest things about pre-health and pre-health support is the accessibility, because I know it can be very overwhelming to think about all of the different things that you feel like you need to do as a pre-health student in college, and just knowing that you have a support system, both administrative advisors and also student advisors, and getting both those perspectives is very beneficial.
Yeah, similarly, support is like one of the biggest things that come out of being a part of like pre-health and pre-law for me. I know that the support that they provide for us is that they actually have like a portal that we can go into that tells us about different internships that we could possibly apply for. They have like a whole panel where they have different professionals in each field that we could reach out to and contact to learn more about what their careers are like. And on top of that, they also have a weekly newsletter that they send to us that just runs down like what are students doing, what are some clubs that you can be a part of, some professionals that may be coming to USC and like workshops that where they're coming and speaking, where we'll have like a lawyer come in or a judge come in or a attorney or whatever it is. So we're able to learn more about their fields and create meaningful connections. And on top of that, there's support outside of professional fields, but also in the learning aspect, because I know that they have many different LSAT workshops, because I know that currently right now I'm studying for my LSAT that I'm going to take in June. But the office also has many people that are giving out different LSAT study resources, whether it's through textbooks that they're donating from lawyers that already passed the LSAT, and they just have all these textbooks sitting around, or different courses that they're providing and discount codes where it's like, hey, this $1,000 LSAT course, we're gonna give it to you for $100, and you're gonna be able to go through a 6 months training course to where you're prepared for LSAT through different. Well, it depends on who you speak to, but most of the time they're definitely gonna help you out get to that level that you want. But coming into college, I know that I wasn't pre-law my freshman year. I became pre-law my second year, but I'm switching to the major. I saw a question in the chat where it's like, did you lose it? Did your graduation date change? My graduation date did not change due to the help from the advising office when it came to changing my major. And I know that the first few years is going to be kind of slow. You just have to take the right classes so that you're set up for law school and medical school, as Bouvi was saying. And then as you prepare for standardized testing, they provide great support so that when you go into the test, it's like you know everything, you feel fully supported. And when you come out of it and you get your 180 or you get your max score on the MCAT, it's like, all right, what can I do when I get to medical school and law school? And you have these people that are writing letters to get you to these places. And even after that, you have people that are giving you these jobs and these opportunities so that you're fully set for life after you graduate. So the academic office for pre-law and I'm sure pre-health is really supportive. And yeah.
Okay, thank you both. I'd love to hear it. Finally, USC offers supplemental instruction for some of the more challenging classes at USC, where an upperclassman who has done well in the class will provide extra support through extra sessions to help students in the class understand the course content. Alex, as a supplemental instruction leader yourself, can you talk about this a little bit more?
Yeah, of course. Well, I'll talk about my experience having a supplemental instructor and then becoming one. I just remember when I first started USC and I was in the general chemistry classroom, I was so nervous and I didn't know what to expect. And I just never been in a classroom with so many people. And on the first day, my SI leader came up, told us about how he would be in every single classroom that we would have, learn the material again, and how the SI leader has received an A in the classroom, and will hold 3 sessions a week to help support the students, giving them worksheets on the course material, and also have a exam review session. So I was like so inspired by my SI leaders who really helped me in those classes to eventually become one for advanced general chemistry. And it's a free resource for any students that if they just want a little bit more help or they want some extra practice problems to come in, see a different perspective from a different teacher. And I think it's overall a wonderful experience. And also all the supplemental instruction leaders, as I said before, hold an exam review session for students. And this could be really helpful because you almost see like the practice exam before you're given the real exam by your teacher, since I collaborate with the teacher and all the SI leaders collaborate with their teachers as well. So yeah.
Great. So thank you all so much. We're now going to pivot and we'll be answering some questions coming through our Q&A box. So the first question I just wanted to address, someone's asking the difference between a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science in the majors, especially in the sciences and mathematics. I can answer that real quick. So you'll see a lot of our natural science majors can be taken as a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts. If you're admitted to this major, you'll be a Bachelor of Science, but students can choose to take it as a Bachelor of Arts. At their core, both of these will be the same. You'll be taking a lot of the same introductory and foundational courses. Just a Bachelor of Science will include a bit more courses to complete the major, and they'll be a bit more science heavy. The Bachelor of Arts option is there because it provides a bit more flexibility for students who want to pick up double majors or add extra programs onto their major as well. But our first question for some of our students is we got some questions for some tips and advice. So, what do you think made you stand out when you were applying to USC for your major? And do you have just any general application advice? So, this can be for any student who wants to take it.
I can take it. Because I applied originally as human biology and I haven't switched my major during my time here. I remember when I was applying, I did have prior research experience as well as some like volunteering hours at hospitals back at my hometown. So I think, but besides that, I didn't have crazy extracurriculars. I do fully agree that USC's admissions process is very holistic. I just, I think I tried to make the most out of the opportunities that my school offered and that like my environment offered. I know one big thing that we get asked a lot as student ambassadors during these like Discover events are like if their school doesn't offer like AP or IB or things like that, like will I be at a disadvantage? I really think that well USC definitely takes like your hometown, your schools like into perspective. Besides that, like extracurriculars, as long as you're making the most out of your time in high school, like there's not one specific thing or one specific class that you're taking in high school that's going to get you in or not. SAT and test scores either. Like there's no like make or break stats. It's very holistic. So I think application process wise, as long as you just put your best foot out there, like there's no like I can't really say any concrete like this will get you in and this won't. This is advantageous, this is disadvantageous. Just like as long as you've tried your best throughout high school and like made the most of it, then you should be okay.
I will like to add though, one thing I've noticed in a lot of successful applicants is they're really creative in some of the question responses. I know USC has like multiple different questions, a lot of those secondary questions. And like for me, I personally tied like my love of poetry with neuroscience together. And I didn't even do any research in neuroscience yet, but I just talked about my classroom experience even in high school, just learning even a lot of the psychology stuff. And I've wanted to learn about like different diseases of the brain, but then tied in with my love of poetry. Or I know one of my great friends, he's an engineer over here, but he also plays a lot of competitive ping pong. So he just talked about his passion of ping pong and how he would like think about how the ball spins using his engineering background to help like beat opponents, which I think is really cool. So any way that you can add your own creative flair to your essays is really stands out here.
Awesome. Thank you both. So this will be a question for Bhuvi and any other panelists that may work on campus. We have a question asking whether students are able to get on-campus jobs, and if so, how do you manage working and doing well in the academics?
Of course. So, as I mentioned before, I am a peer advisor for the pre-health office that is classified as an on-campus job. A lot of my friends also work, and I guess I can start off with my experiences first. One of the main things that makes it manageable is I love working at the pre-health office. I think it's very relevant to me, my career, and my passions. And every time I go in and I clock in for the hours that I'm going to be there for the day, I'm excited to see the people, and I'm excited to think about, oh, who am I going to talk to today? I wonder how I'm going to help out people today. So I think that's one of the biggest things. Outside of the pre-health office, I have been an RA on campus. An RA is a residential advisor, and this is essentially, you come in, you're all the dorms on campus, you're going to have an RA who lives on the floor with you. This is considered an on-campus job, although you don't get hourly compensation. You are compensated by, you don't have to pay for your housing and your meal plan, and you get a stipend every semester. So that was also a great experience for me. I was an RA my sophomore year, and I was an RA in the same dorm that I lived in my freshman year, which was the McCarthy Honors College. And so that also felt a little bit like a full circle moment. And I had a great time. I loved my residents and the RA team. So I sort of saw it as a way of making new friends and meeting new people and forming a new community. Outside of this, we do have a platform called Handshake, and we do have career fairs on campus. So, two types of career fairs. One is for on-campus jobs specifically, and the other is when outside employers come in and recruit. So, the on-campus job career fair is anyone on campus that is currently hiring student workers will probably have a little booth there, and it's categorized by work study positions and non-work study positions, and there's ample opportunities for both categories. So we have those career fairs once every semester for the on-campus jobs. And the platform I mentioned earlier, Handshake, that's sort of like a digital version. So all of the job listings are on Handshake, both on-campus jobs and off-campus jobs. A lot of opportunities to secure jobs. And in terms of managing jobs and that time commitment, I'd say very manageable because you can sort of choose how much you're putting into it, whether you want to put in, students are not allowed to work more than 20 hours a week. So whether you're choosing to put in the full 20 hours or you want to do 10, like currently I only work 5 hours a week. So it's really you choose how much you want to put in and you find a job that sort of aligns with your goals in that sense.
Thank you, Bhuvi. So this question is for any of our panelists that have changed their majors at USC. So what made you change your major and how was that kind of process?
I know I changed my major. Uh, so what mainly made me change my major is that I was biology. I came in wanting to do like fully research and fully like go to med school. But then as time goes on, things change and people want to just do different things. And I realized like I feel like I can make a bigger impact to the environment and to the people around me if I were to work in the legal field rather than in the laboratory. And yeah, I just made that switch. And I feel like the switch from one major to another major isn't the most difficult thing. Uh, for me, because environmental science and health and biology have like the same prerequisite classes, there wasn't really much of a change except for like the later upper division classes that you have to take. So I still am able to graduate in 4 years. Uh, I'm not going to say that's for every switch because if you're going from one field to a completely different field, it's going to be very different requirements. That's up to your advisor. I can't give the full details on that, but it might switch. But just the process is really easy. You reach out to your advisor. You let them know what major you are and what major you're switching from, that you're switching to. And usually it's a quick process. They lay down a format of like what classes you need to take before they fully make that switch, just in case it's like maybe I don't want to graduate late or maybe I don't want to take these classes. But they give it to you, lay it out, and it's like, all right, this is what you have to do for the next 3, 4, or however many years that you have left. And if you want to make that switch, you say, yeah, I want to make that switch. You send an email, and then within the next couple of days, that switch is made, and it's a really simple process and really quick as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Darren. So this one's for all of you. So I got a couple of questions asking as like natural science majors, do you find it difficult to be involved in extracurriculars and other things on campus? So if each of you could highlight maybe one of your favorite clubs, organizations, or extracurriculars you're involved in, and how you kind of balance that.
I can start. As I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, I'm currently president of a performing arts club. I'm actually a part of a band, and it's a pretty big for a band, but small for a school organization. It's around like 20 to 25 people, but it is a very big time commitment. We meet like 2 to 3 times a week, but I was still able to fully balance this as well as being on e-board of that club while doing research and getting clinical hours in, shadowing other doctors, doing like 2 to 3 science courses every semester. It's fully doable. It's not easy, but I think if you're passionate about it, then it shouldn't be like impossible. It's not going to make or break your grades. And it's also college. You have these next 4 years are gonna be some of the best 4 years of your life, and it's never gonna come back. I think it's fully worth it to expand and like outside of just like your career path and like things for your like pre-med or pre-professional emphasis and find other outlets where you can just enjoy yourself. And also it like honestly it helps me from burning out from just taking science classes. I think it's fully doable and I honestly recommend it.
I can also add on, what I'd recommend too is freshman year, I would take your time a little bit more with things. Like you don't need to get involved with everything all at once in your first semester. I think you're already learning just how to be adult just by living on your own once you start college. Like I knew for me, what was a little hard was even just setting times to eat food, when to not eat food. I was just so used to coming home and my mom's like, dinner's ready, let's all eat together. And then I had to decide when I wanted to get dinner, right? Like, so maybe one night that's 1 a.m., but that's not as healthy of a thing to do. So I'd first like get comfortable with your surroundings and where you're at, and then you can eventually add things on. Like I know for me, I didn't start doing research until after my freshman year, but I've been able to do lots of research projects, present, publish many papers, and do things. So you don't have to start the first second you get to college. Just try and get as comfortable as you can, quickly as possible.
Great, thank you. So this next question is for any of our pre-health students. So what are some of the unique opportunities or resources available to pre-health or pre-med students?
I can start off. So one of the things I feel like we haven't touched on yet is a lot of the on-campus clubs. So we have so many student organizations and student clubs that with different focuses, different niches that do and cater to so many interests. One of the clubs that I'm part of, or I can touch on too, one of them is called Blueprints for Pangea. And the main focus of this organization is the reallocation of medical supplies. So we get excess medical supplies from big hospitals, Keck, for example, and big hospitals who have excess supplies like masks, surgical gowns, needles, things that they're about to throw away. We collect them, store them in our warehouse, and then ship them off to communities in need, whether that be local clinics in LA. We've done international shipments. This past summer, we sent a huge shipment of supplies to Africa. We've sent a shipment of supplies to Pakistan. So a lot of this, the focus of the club is this reallocation of excess medical supplies. And this has been great for me. I've loved it. And it's given me such a good break from, my research lab or going to the hospital because I think I love the community in the club. I joined this club as a freshman, fall semester, freshman year. So a lot of my pre-health friends and pre-med friends I made through this club. A lot of the upperclassmen I connected with was through here. That's one of the big things I'd say about the club culture at USC. And if anyone else wants to add on to this, is the community. Um, Everyone is so willing to help and guide you, especially, as a freshman or a sophomore. And sort of like there were people who took me under their wing and sort of just helped me learn things. And that was something I really appreciated coming into college. And as Alex said, you're learning how to be an adult. You're learning how to figure everything out on your own for the first time ever. So I'd say the student clubs are a huge part of USC's culture. And I mentioned this, but just how everything is so specific and so unique, and caters to so many different interests.
Perfect. Thanks, Bhuvi. And I would like to add that we actually have a pre-health specific webinar next week at the same time. So if you are a student considering a career in health or just being pre-health, we'll be going into a bit more detail into the specific like resources and opportunities next week. But for our students involved in research, which is really all of you, could one or two of you just expand on the research that you've done on campus and how easy is it to get involved in research?
I can start. As I mentioned before, I started off spring semester of my freshman year because or the semester before my fall semester, I knew that I wanted to start with like the basics, like learn lab techniques and then build through there. So I tried to start early, but I started cold emailing different PIs around like after Thanksgiving, and then they will respond pretty quickly. They're pretty accessible. So I started January of my freshman year. And then the lab I'm in is a structural biology lab. I won't get into like too many details, but we basically discover like or we structure protein models. And so by making the models of proteins, we can design drugs and then use that for pharmaceutical purposes. But I think that it's pretty easy to get involved in research. Most, if not all of my pre-health friends and like yeah, and also not just pre-med, but like other majors as well are all involved in research on campus. So I think it's really nice. It's very accessible. But the PIs help you, like, if you want to work in the summer, they will help you find programs or like get funding for your projects, and they are there for you as resources like throughout your undergrad career.
Think what I'd like to add as well is one thing that's really nice about USC, even though we're a private school, we're like a research one university. So nearly all the different professors you're going to be learning classes from also have their own research lab. So it's just so many different people and so many different labs that you can look at. And you can even go to the health science campus and do research there. What I personally am doing is some more neuroimaging research here at USC. We have an entire brain and creativity center where we have an fMRI machine to investigate different patients, like brains and everything. And there's just so many different fields that you do it in. You can also do a lot of interdisciplinary research where, since I'm a neuroscience major, I'm actually doing some research with a psychology professor, but her research intertwines biology, psychology, and neuroscience. So feel free to look outside your field a little bit as well.
Great, thank you both. And we have a few minutes left, so I'll ask one final question to all of you. In about 30 seconds, can you give us your why USC Dornsife?
Yeah, I can go first again. Um, I think I just really liked how interdisciplinary the school was. I think that when I applied, I heard about how easy it was to just like expand into different areas. And I think it's kind of intimidating to be told that you have to know what you want to do for the rest of your life as seniors in high school. And so, though I did set off on a pre-med track and I have continued it throughout the 3 years, I did experiment with like my courses. I remember I was taking some film classes with through GEs. I was taking sociology classes. I was taking environmental science classes, and through these like interdisciplinary experiences that you can get specifically at USC Dornsife, it made me realize that like through I made me more sure that I wanted to go into this path. But again, I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't given the opportunity to venture out of my comfort zone. So that was one of the biggest reasons why I chose to do it.
I can go next. The interdisciplinary thing is a huge aspect, and it definitely ties into individual majors as well. But for me, on top of that, I also really love how Dornsife emphasizes learning that extends beyond the classroom. So we've already touched on this, but through opportunities like JEP, Joint Educational Project, I've been able to apply what I learned to real world issues, and Dornsife made it very easy for me to take what I study and actually do something meaningful to the community. So all throughout high school, a lot of my work and a lot of my extracurriculars were very community focused. And I love the idea of making this tangible impact. And I think that's one of the main things that Dornsife focuses on is taking classroom learning and reflecting it onto real world experiences and giving you that exposure even before you're out and working at a real job. So getting that exposure while you're still in college and while you're taking your classes.
I think
Awesome.
for I think for me a slight different outlook. What I really like is the balance here, where everyone's very work hard, play hard type of environment. Where I feel like in the classroom, everyone's really focused, trying to do as well as they can, and but these same people you can hang out with later after class and have a great time with. And I don't feel like people are so focused on school or so focused on things outside school. It just feels a really nice balance between the students.
I feel like similarly, Dornsice has a really good like community and networking. Every now and then they have random just pop-up events that where people can come out and either speak to a professional, but also while in a community and social aspect where you're able to meet other students, meet other professors, meet people that work for the school, and you're just able to build your network and build your community where down the line you have people that you can reach out for research or for job opportunities or make a new friend. So I feel like that's what really drew me to USC and especially Dornsife is just being able to meet people and create like a good community and network that I can rely on.
Awesome. Thank you all for that. And with that, we are coming up on time for the day. Thank you to our student panelists. We really appreciate each of you for taking the time to share your experience with everyone today. One of our colleagues has put our contact information in the chat. It is also up here on the screen. Thank you all for joining us today and submitting your questions. If you weren't able to get to your question today, please feel free to reach out to us. I know it can be confusing when to reach out to USC's main office of admission versus our office in Dornsife. But if your questions fall under anything we talked about today, that'll be a great opportunity to reach out and engage with our office further. Again, thank you all for joining us again today and fight on.